So finally, here we are with the last vitamin, which is water soluble and which is very complex. So that's called as vitamin B complex. So there are many vitamin B. Currently, we know B1 theanine, B2 riboflavin, B3 niacin, B5 pantothoic acid, B6 pyridoxine, B7 biotin, B9 folic acid, B12 cyanocobalamin. So these are the few vitamins B which we actually use in our day-to-day life and we consume as a part of our system. When these many vitamins are there, the question arises, why can't we just talk about one vitamin B and then why don't we reclassify it again? And also, why is there a lot of skipping in between? So as you can see, B11 and B4, B10, B11 are not much of a consideration as a logical vitamin today. So the reason why is majority of them have been resubstrated to the same branch of vitamin B. For example, once upon a time we used to call something as vitamin BH, which was known as biotin. Then vitamin G was reclassified as riboflavin. Vitamin F was classified as omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So there was already a lot of vitamin A to probably H, but we try to reconsider them and restructure them because all of them were basically having the same functionality. So when we talk about the functionality, especially if you can see, the water soluble vitamins have been divided into two things. One is non-B complex and B complex. So non-B complex is very simple, that is vitamin C, and which we have spoken in the last video. Whereas vitamin B complex, there are three different parts of it which we need to understand. So all vitamin B1, 2, 3, 7 and 9 were considered as energy releasing substances, or they help in metabolizing the system. So that is the reason why there was no reason for us to keep that as a different aspect of water soluble vitamin. Along with that, vitamin B, these also help in making good blood cells in the system. So we talked about vitamin B12 and folic acid. Then we talk about vitamin B6, which is pyridoxine, pyridoxal and pyridoxamine. So basically everything which was considered as non-B before, like that of G and other things, were reclassified because all their functions seems to be in the same arena or seems to be in the same way to enhance the body's metabolic activity. So having said that, we'll look into individual vitamins and we'll talk about the source of it and is supplementation a very necessary. So first is the thiamine, which plays an important role in release of energy from carbohydrates, as well as it's involved in DNA and RNA production in the nerve cells. So its deficiency, I guess majority of you know that it is beriberi, and we need 1.2 micrograms of vitamin B1 every day in our diet. So moving on to the riboflavin. So riboflavin is, again, as I said, in its focus more in energy releasing through electron transport chain, especially in the citric acid, and its deficiency can cause riboflavinosis. So we need at least 1.3 mg of vitamin B2 in our food. Then B3 also plays an important role in transfer of energy, which is metabolized through glucose, fat and alcohol. Its deficiency can lead to tryptophan deficiency and pellagra, and we need 16 mg of niacin or vitamin B3 in our diet. So similarly, we need vitamin B5, which is, again, it is utilized in the body in a different way because it not just metabolizes carbohydrates and fats, it slowly moves on to metabolize steroid hormones. So this can lead to paresthesia and acne. So that is the reason why majority of your sunscreen has pantothoic acid, because it reduces the acid secretion throughout the body and oxidizes these fatty acids and carbohydrates to give energy. Then we move on to B6, which is pyridoxine. Again, pyridoxine serves as a cofactor in enzyme reaction, especially amino acids. So now you can see we started from carbohydrates, now we are going to proteins. And this is very important because pyridoxine also increases the neurotransmitters biosynthesis in the body. So a deficiency of B6 can lead to dermatitis and also neurological symptoms like that of epilepsy. Then we move on to biotin, which is commonly considered as one of the necessary for growth of good hair and nails. So biotin not just plays a role in these things, but it also helps in carboxylation of glucose and leading to much more metabolic changes. And it actually is involved as a major energy receptors for degeneration or involvement in amino acid secretions and cholesterol. So basically to digest the amount of lipids and proteins along with carbohydrates. So today the deficiency can be somewhat considered as cosmetic issue rather than an involvement in active metabolitic practice. And we generally consume biotin in a regular quantity, but we need 30 micrograms of biotin food. Then we move on to a B9, which is more of a hemopoietic importance. So folate or folic acid aids in erythropoiesis, that is the growth of red blood cells. And this is very much important in the normal cell division of pregnant women and also in the infancy of the child, or probably we can say the fetus. So the deficiency, as many people know, it leads to spina bifida. So basically the deficiency results in anemia, elevated homocysteine. It can also lead to the birth defects, especially in the neural tube formation, which along with that, we also need to consider cobalamin or vitamin B12. So it is also involved in cellular metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins. It's essential in production of red blood cells, and it is also needed for the protection of the nerve sheaths and proteins. So again, the deficiency of B12 can cause anemia, and this can also lead to a lot of other neurological disorders like neuropathies, memory losses, and cognitive defects. So you need to have B12 in a lot of amount to make sure that the nerve cells are protected well. So these are the few vitamins which we know, and these are the few other vitamins which is very essential, when which we have seen a lot of changes happening in your system. So B4, B8 and B10 is basically known to us. Along with that, we need B11, B13, B14, 15, 16, 17, 20. So basically B20 is nothing but carnitine. So which we have again talked about the importance of carnitine for our heart cells. And myoinositol is also one of these such factors. Along with that, we have vitamin BP, which is an anti-psoriatic factor. So this reduces psoriasis. And along with that, we have many other like BV, BW, and BX. So having said that, the major question is, there are a lot of industry for talking about B complex vitamin. So how and what is a good source of vitamins? Like any other fruits and vegetables, majority of the cereals and animal fat do have vitamin B in them. So you need to consume a lot of animal fat like that of milk and probably liver of some animals. Vegetarians can consider this as one of the least amount of vitamin B in their body. So it is known that vegetarians don't have much of a B complex in their system. So generally, doctors do ask them to have supplements. But let me tell you that you can derive to B complex in many other ways, like soaking flax seeds, which is not just good in omega-3 fatty acids or omega-6 fatty acids. It's also high in vitamin B6. So my suggestion would be, if you are really looking at natural sources of vitamin B in the food, then probably you should start soaking majority of your grains, cereals, and not pulses. So what happens is, the more you soak your rice, the more you soak your wheat, and the water which is there soaked overnight or soaked probably 1 or 2 days, you consume that water, and which is also good for your body. So you need not go for a supplementation or binge supplementation. Probably doing some of these natural ways will also reduce the load of vitamin B in the system, thus leading to good health as well. So as I said, supplementation need not be requiring much, but regular consumption of soaked water, overnight soaked cereals can also lead to good supplementation in your system. And you need to understand, because vitamin B soluble in water, it gets difficult for us to sustain it. So that is the reason why, if you can go for little less cooking of vitamin B complex, like if you are more into fresh fruits, vegetables, and salad eating, then probably you can save a lot of vitamin B loss, which is there in the fresh fruits and vegetables. So green fruits, especially guava, and vegetables, those leafy vegetables, can also have a lot of good vitamin B complex, but only thing is you have to consume them raw. So probably a salad dressing per day can actually increase the vitamin B load in your system. So having said that, we move on to the minerals which were missed. So probably I missed a lot about minerals when we are talking. We missed about the selenium, we missed about probably copper and other important minerals. So let's talk about all those minerals which were left out. And so till then, make sure you share this video with your friends who are actually looking for some natural supplementation. A subscribe and like to this channel will give a much needed interest in creating more videos and creating more information for the general public. So if you have any queries which you would like to know about, you can write down in the comment section, or you can send me a mail across at dradityahandey@gmail.com. So stay healthy, eat your fresh fruits and vegetables. See you in the next video. Till then, take care.